Jerry. Hi, Dutch. I have a quick question about wrestling veterans. Specifically, which wrestling legends have you personally witnessed being the most giving to the young guys as far as advice, willing to work with them, not being jealous if they rise to the top, etc.? Thank you.
Most of them, and they will tell you, yeah, they call you kid. Kid, I started out, and I remember when I started, and you'd come back, and some of them would watch your matches on purpose, and you'd come back, and they'd call you over and say, do this and do that. But most of them were very, very helpful and very giving in sharing their knowledge of wrestling and helping you out. So, and they would just give you a little bit each night. I mean, not overdo it. I mean, they had no interest in you. They had no vested interest whether you got better or not. They did it because of their love for the game, their love of wrestling, and that's why they were in it. And they like to see it done well. And a lot of them helped me for no reason at all, just to be helpful. And I appreciated that.
I know there's you mentioned names well, Tom Renesto, Jody Hamilton and stuff like that. Can you think of any other names that we might not immediately think of who would help you in your early career?
Killer Carl Cox, he helped me out a lot in Florida. I would drive with him. And a great, great storyteller. We were in West Palm Beach one Monday night. They ran it on Mondays. And I'm waiting on him because he was in the main event or semifinal, but he was going back into the main event to help some heel, I forgot. And he went out, and boy, the people, I mean, they stood up. They hated him. He was a hateful looking bastard anyway. He didn't have to say nothing. You just didn't like him at all. He was half bald headed, but tough. And I saw after he went down and came back, I saw two guys laying in the aisleway. They couldn't get up because he had he put his hands in like this and he just straightened them out. Bam. Somebody over there. Bam. I called it, or he called it, the 6-inch punch because he didn't wind up and throw it. He just come straight out. He knocked him out. And he was tough. Very, very good guy. And of course, Tom Ernesto helped me a lot. And Jody Hamilton. That was in my early days. But most of them that, after 2 years, you don't really need that much help. So this is in my first 6 months or the first year. And here's another one that the name you haven't heard in a long time, if you ever even heard it at all, was Dickie Steinborn. You ever heard about him?
You brought his name up before on the show.
He was like one of the most athletic wrestlers at that point that I'd ever seen. If I had to compare him to somebody today, I'd say Brian Danielson. Because he had that thing of making it look real, and he could really get the people on his side, and great worker. So, and he helped me a lot too.
I heard a story, I don't know if it was a Kevin Nash story or someone else, but apparently someone went up to Jerry Lawler and said, hey man, I know how great you are, and probably in the WWF, and we've got a match tonight, and I'm just hoping to get a bit of that knowledge of yours, and Jerry Lawler's response was, F you, dude. I've been working at this 25 years. Figure it out for yourself.
It sounds like Lawler.
Why wasn't Jerry? Okay, right. So he would bring in people who had absolutely no business being in the ring and put them over, and they'd win the USWA title or whatever for 3 weeks because they were a monster, and then they'd switch it back, and then they move on to the next one. How can he be so unhelpful to someone asking him for advice, and then so helpful to a complete no-hoper for the most part, just to get through a match for a couple of weeks?
You tell me. Why would you even do that? I mean, I could never bring myself to do that. If a kid came up to me and says, hey, can you help me? Well, I'm going to help him. I can't help myself. Why would I be a smart ass to him and say, hey, I've been in this business, blah, 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 and why would I help you and this, that, and the other? That's just being, hey, this guy didn't buy a ticket. He's not a fan. So you're working with the guy. And from now on, this guy is going to have that image of you in his head. So when your name gets brought up in another group discussion somewhere and you're not there, he's going to say, he's an asshole. He's a dickhead. So, and I don't want to be remembered like that. I would rather help a guy. And if I could help him, I'd help him. So, because later on they say, well, what kind of guy was Dutch? And he said, oh, he was a good guy. He helped me out. But what if he said, boy, he was a big time dickhead? So I don't know. I just wasn't that way, but that does sound like Jerry Lawler. And he probably didn't even mean it, but that's the way he came off.